like to thank Sean Strickland and the entire Canadian Executive Board for the opportunity to speak this evening, and a big thanks to Minister O'Regan for not only making commitments but delivering on them. That means a lot to this room. I had the good fortune and privilege of working with Lionel in the IUOE Canadian office since 2014. And during this time, Lionel and the Canadian staff had no shortage of challenges. And I always observed with great wonder how it was that Lionel remained calm while so many around him were losing their cool, and realized only later that Lionel was just too busy looking for solutions rather than pointing out problems. He was always able to make it look so effortless while drawing on 45 years' experience. As a third-generation operating engineer, father of two fourth-generation operating engineers, Lionel is a proud 45-year member of the IUOE Local 115 in British Columbia. Coming from asphalt paving crews, working underground on tunnel boring crews, and to flying loads as a tower crane operator, like so many of our collective membership, Lionel played a major part in much of the infrastructure that British Columbians still enjoy today. Lionel eventually came on staff with IUOE Local 115 as an organizer, then business rep, and eventually the pension plan administrator for IUOE Local 115's massive defined benefit pension and benefits plan, all the while participating on the IUOE Local 115 Executive Board. Eventually, Lionel was called upon to join the Canadian Regional Office, allowing our entire Canadian membership the opportunity to benefit from his significant skill set, and in 2014 took on the role of Canadian Director. And he led by example in every task he took on, with the goal of making incremental improvements to his union. He was singularly focused in leaving the IUOE in better shape than he found it. And Lionel also recognized that this goal could only be achieved by collaborating with other unions and organizations, be it through his participation in the CBTU or with the CLC. He is also someone who is very uncomfortable in hearing these well-deserved accolades, because he is a true trade unionist with a complete understanding of the importance of the collective group over the individual. And like many great leaders, Lionel treated people like adults who knew what needed to be done. He would give you free rein in carrying out your duties and was fond of letting you know that you were the master of your own misery. He also had this great way of distilling all of his experience and knowledge down into just a few words, and always knew the right time to share them. In fact, he got it down to just 3 words. Don't fuck up. It's brilliant in its simplicity and can be applied in any aspect of your life. He certainly applied it to his own, as evidenced by his amazing relationship with Kelly, his wife, and his entire family. He has committed so much time to the labor movement, and I am so pleased to see that he is now able to refocus that commitment to himself and his family in retirement, and I'm honored to present Lionel with the CBTU Lifetime Achievement Award on behalf of so many.
Keep it simple, stupid. Good evening. Thank you so much for this kind honor. Patrick is quite right. I'm not comfortable in these situations because I've been a firm believer that if you get up every day to make your organization better, you will. You truly will. And if you allow words like that to drive you every day, and the leadership in this room takes on that type of approach, we're a better organization not only for ourselves, our members, our families, and for Canada. Plain and simple. Before I launch into, I did write down a few words because I knew I'd forget half of them, but if you'll bear with me for a couple of minutes. First and foremost, I want to do a quick shout out to our small but powerful contingent of operating engineers. And brothers and sisters, it's great to see you here with the building trades. The operating engineers have had a bit of a love-hate relationship over the years with the building trades. We are an independent lot, and I think it's the crane operators and the side boom operators who have way too much time to do this in their cabs of their particular machines, and they do way too much deep thinking at the end of the day, and we think we can do it all on our own, when in fact we realize, when we take a moment, that we do our best work together. I've said that time and time again. I also want to ask you to keep in your thoughts and your prayers that our brothers and sisters who have been displaced by the wildfires in Alberta. It seems every 5 years that province is faced with some calamity that involves fire or floods or whatever the case may be, and I think it's important. I know the operating engineers have 300 members and their families that have been displaced as a direct result of the evacuations out there. Brothers and sisters, I'm very humbled by this award, and thank you for the recognition. I want to thank Patrick for all of those kind words. It was a trip down memory lane that just shows that, over 45 years you can accomplish an awful lot. But you accomplish these particular milestones not by yourself. No one does this on their own. I've been blessed with a life partner of 46 years who has carried the load, frankly, and has given me 3 beautiful sons, 2 of which, as Patrick pointed out, are 4th-generation operating engineers and followed me into the trade. It's an extremely proud moment for the operating engineers and the Railton family to see them step up and be initiated into this wonderful industry of ours and to do the work of building Canada's infrastructure. Kelly, thank you, my love. I've also been blessed with great leaders like Patrick and the IUOE team, and a general president who was unwavering and is unwavering in his support of growing our membership and providing for their families and supporting the building trades. Jim Callahan never got in the way. Patrick said, I'd give my staff whatever latitude they required to do their work. Jim, our general president, was exactly the same way, and that's where I learned it from. He says, I love Canada. I don't understand Canada. So it's yours to look after. And he was the one that also coined the phrase, don't fuck up, right? So it motivated us to go to work every day and do the best that we could. But my team always stepped up. No matter the challenge, they always stepped up. And I see the exact same effort from the CBTU and Sean when we brought him on. The challenges were monumental, but I have to tell you, between Sean and the CBTU team, through the leadership of the Canadian Executive Board, are absolutely miles ahead in the last couple of years. It's been phenomenal, the growth, the influence, and all of the good work that's been done in the last 2 years. And Sean, your team has to be recognized for that. That's great work. Seamus, I'm glad you're here tonight. I really am. Seamus and I used to exchange phone calls. It'd be like 4 o'clock in the morning in Newfoundland. I'd be on the West Coast, and Seamus would phone because we had a problem. And he does listen. And I don't know why he's phoning me at 4 o'clock in the morning, other than he was flying into home, and there was a few things he needed to check off his list. And calling Lionel out in British Columbia was one of those things that he needed to get off his list. And we'd talk about pipelines. We'd talk about oil sands projects. We'd talk about nuclear reactors. And we always did, we always tried to find a solution at the end of the day on how we could put our men and women to work and apply their skills to build the infrastructure that Canada needed. And Seamus, you've always been a willing partner. You've always been willing to listen. And you've always worked hard on behalf of the building trades in Canada, and I thank you very much for that. Let me finish on this. Sean McGarvey, and your support from the United States has been unwavering as well. And I have to say, when we went through some dark times prior to bringing Sean on, Sean was there and he was a listener too, and I was pretty critical in some of the phone calls I made down there. I'll be blunt. Sean's probably nodding. I can't see him, but I'm sure he's nodding. There were some pretty blunt conversations that Sean and I had because I was upset. I was upset that the Canadian building trades were not taking their rightful place at the head of the table of labor in Canada. We're there now. And that was because of the leadership that was shown by this man, Mr. Coutrin, and the leadership of Sean McGarvey, and the support out of the National Building Trades Office in the United States. And we're at the head of the table now. And we're at the head of the table because we all came together. Tradespeople are very good at finding excuses on why we can't get things done. But at the end of the day, when we put our heads together and put our shoulders to the wheel, we can accomplish anything. And I am so pleased and honored to receive this award and to see what kind of good shape the Canadian building trades is in, and our future has never been brighter. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart.